wanted 2 point something billion dollars to renovate a building at the Fed. 2.1 billion. Well, this is 2.5 billion dollars, but they're over budget by over $1 billion for one building. They're over budget over $1 billion for one building. $1 billion friggin' dollars for one building. This isn't even for building a new building. It's for renovating a building. What the actual F are they doing? If after a night of filling your rectum with vodka from a turkey baster, the cops find you changing a flat in the cereal aisle of a Piggly Wiggly and ask how much you've had to drink, and you say nothing, are you lying? Well, no. Now, if they had been asking, have you been injecting? You'd have to say yes, but they said, have you been drinking? Well, no, absolutely. Yeah, Lord Stanhope, absolutely not. In fact, you all can try to answer these questions. Stand by. The program will begin soon. A WNBA game got stopped in the middle of the game because one of the players lost their wig while they're playing, and they had to run off. And then some fan made fun of the player, and they had to run. And they kicked the fan out for making fun of a player losing the weave. Not the weave, it was a wig. Losing their wig. They had to have a timeout for the wig, a wig emergency. Which I'm like, why the F are you wearing a wig while you're playing basketball? But then yesterday, or I believe it was yesterday, a game had to be stopped briefly because someone threw a big old green dildo on the floor. Someone threw a dildo out on the floor, out of the court. They had to stop the game. I don't know if they caught the person who sent the dildo, but the green dildo was on the court, and a good large number of the players had no idea what to do with something of that shape, but that's okay. It happened, and then someone made this t-shirt or this meme, pay us what you owe us, which has a dildo on it. So that was fun. Hey, you know what the really good interrupt violence through community-based bystander training? Yeah, if the bystanders beat the fuck out of someone who's attacking somebody else, that would be great bystander training. They could send them to the MMA gym, you know, put them in an arm bar, smack them in the face a few times. Stop doing that bullshit. That would be the best community-based bystander training, but I don't think that's what he means. Anyway. And then the other one, they'll go back all the way to Dylan Roof. Dylan Roof's the other one, which, does anyone, okay, let me ask you something. A lot of you are right-leaning on the right. Is there anybody in this, that you, anyone you know of, is there anyone that you know of on the right who supports or supported Dylan Roof? Because I know everyone I can think of who's like, Dylan Roof, fuck that guy. He went and murdered people in a church. Fuck that guy. But the left is like, oh, he was a right-wing extremist. Nah, he's a fucking asshole. Fuck that guy. Yeah, fuck Dylan Roof. Nobody gives a shit about Dylan Roof. Nobody claims him. Nobody wants him. He's an asshole. Okay? He's a little punk bitch asshole who killed a bunch of people in the church. Stand by. The program will begin soon. Reverend Robin Bartlett of First Church of Sterling, Massachusetts, uses John 1:14 of the Bible to justify why she brings her 11-year-old son to drag shows. This is what we're getting in the Rainbow Church. The Rainbow Church aren't exactly hiding. That's true. The Word became flesh and lived among us, and my body, your body, their bodies are home for the living God. That is why I take my 11-year-old boy to drag shows in the summer with my friend and fellow church leaders, Kate, and her 11-year-old boy. Especially if you're a man, bodies can be celebrated and played with. That's her message. What the fuck? California wants to let someone that is not related to your child remove her from school, him or her, enroll her in any other school in the state, authorize any medical treatment, including mental health services and drugs, without the parent's notice and knowledge or consent. Can you see where that might be a problem? This is not fear-mongering. I'm not being hyperbolic. She warned these are unintended consequences, and it is terrifying. They are unconscionable or unavoidable. So that's one really bad California law that they're coming with. I can't believe. I'm just dumbfounded that they're doing it. Now this is interesting. That new mayor candidate, the leading Democratic mayor candidate for New York City mayor, Damme, wants cops to stop responding to attacks on Jews. And by the way, Jews in the New York City are victims of the majority of hate crimes. Not a plurality, but the majority of hate crimes against people in New York are against Jewish people. And you know, especially religious hate crimes. Anyway, 345 hate crimes in New York City last year, more than all other minority groups combined, according to the New York Police Department data. Anti-Jewish crimes accounted for 54% of the 641 total hate crimes reported to police in the city in 2024. Since the beginning of the year, 60% of the 123 recorded hate crimes have targeted Jews, according to the New York Police Department. Well, Zohran Mamdani, the radical Islamist and leftist terrorist supporter, has proposed that New York Police Department not respond to hate crimes, instead that they be handled by social workers. This shifts resources away from responding to attacks on Jews and moves away from having law enforcement deal with those attacks, and instead has his political leftist allies deal with them by burying them, right? Show. If I put something on the screen, or I'm talking about it, or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about, and even more, the ones I didn't even get to, I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only Dawg Knight.
Can I get a hell yeah? Just one or two in the chat. Give me a hell yeah. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet, and I'm trying a little new mic setup here. Oh, that thing's still messed up. So I did one of these updates when I opened my little streaming software here, and as usual, it messed everything up, and I thought I had this thing set right. Now, it's not the way I like it, so it's going to be a second. Let me fix this crap, because every time I do this, you have to fix something. It just annoys the hell out of me. Now, how did I do that? I think I added saturation, yeah, there we go, and a little more light, there we go, so you can see me, And there you go. Now we don't have this stupid little shadow that bugs the crap out of me. Anyway, hi. How you doing? It's Tuesday, the 19th of August, 2024. Or 25. I don't know what year it is. Who cares? Just more crap to think about. Anyway, hope you're having a wonderful morning. It's adequate, and I'm not going to complain because it doesn't matter if I complain or not. So there we go. Let's just get it started because I have a bunch of articles open. We'll get to as many as we can. But I do want to start at least earlier in the show with what I wanted to talk about yesterday regarding the Putin-Trump summit and the Zelensky stuff and all that stuff. So we'll talk about a little bit about the Ukraine-Russia stuff. And then I just got a mishmash of things to talk about. Hopefully we'll get to most of them or some of them or half of them. I got 20, 30 windows open, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, first in the chat today, of course, Avocados Diabli, The World is Right, and you get the bell. Congratulations. Also, good morning, Kara Soldier, JB, Renee Mayetta, Mike Savage, Blarg, Mark Smart, nice to hear you, see you back, of course. Also, good morning to TC's in the house, nice to have you here, and Somnambule Nation, good deal. Anon 1, 2, 3, that's kind of, I'm not gonna be able to do that very long if PBS is being nixed. As if Sesame Street, the billion-dollar franchise, isn't going to be around. Also, good morning, Tyler F., Resolute Germ. Aaron Meredith is in the house. Nice to see you. Lord Stanhope, Attack Alpaca. Blue-Eyed Scream, what up? Also, is that everybody? Almost. Oh, no, Willie is in the chat. Does everyone know that reference? Remember that song, Little Willie? Sorry, Willie, I hate to remind people of that, but it was the Willie won't go home, but you can't push Willie around. Willie won't go. Try telling. Yeah, Sweet by Sweet. There you go. Oh, and there's Ranting Monkey. By the way, one of the hashtags this morning, Monk, had me worried about you. One of the trending hashtags was Justice for Monkey. I'll get to that in a second because I was like, uh-oh. Did Monkey get kicked off of Twitter again? You just never know when that's going to happen once a month. But anyway, let's get into the show because there's a whole bunch of stuff. First, we're going to talk about, what is the usually thing I talk about first? Oh, holidays. Well, today, the significant day of the day is National Aviation Day. People are celebrating National Aviation Day. Buzz Aldrin, famous pilot and man who stepped on the moon, not going there, says today is National Aviation Day, first established in 1939 by President Franklin D. Roosevelt to acknowledge the birthday of Orville Wright. Today is a great day to recognize the importance of aviation to all humankind. My gosh, it got us all over the world between planes and helicopters and drones and, oh, wait, I should probably not say drones. But anyway, yeah, so from experimental aircraft to warbirds to vintage classics to ultralights, rotorcraft, and seaplanes, whether you're a pilot, a builder, modeler, airshow enthusiast, aviation is what connects us. Here's at EAA, I don't know, what is EAA? It is it doesn't even say. Oh, Experimental Aircraft Association. We embrace not only our home-built aircraft roots, but all facets of aviation. Join us in celebrating our love of flight. So, yeah, it's pretty cool that we can fly. I believe I can fly. I should have put an airplane in the in my GIF of the Let's Go GIF, but I didn't. Also, good morning, Ms. Wild Wolf and Darren Root. Welcome to the show. Anybody else? I think I got everybody. All right, and thank you, Gunfox61. You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Dropping a Hamilton in the tip jar and a hijacking article from the Asian Times. Let's see what this is. Speaking of drones. Oh, drone subs. Giant Chinese drone subs to punch holes in U.S. seabed surveillance. What? China's preparing to put its undersea ambitions on parade, rolling out giant drone submarines that could one day strike the U.S. undersea sensor network and tilt the balance of power in the Pacific Silent War. This month, Naval News reported that China is expected to unveil 2 new extra-large uncrewed underwater vehicles, XLUUVs. That's the acronyms. Oh, you know what that spells? It spells X loves. Yes. X loves. Oh, yeah. Okay, so anyway, during September, they're unveiling them at a September 3rd military parade in Beijing, marking the 80th anniversary of the Second Sino-Japanese War, which would be World War II, basically, isn't it? Because 80 years ago was World War II. The unveiling will be the first public appearance of these unmanned assets and will seek to signal China's rapid progress in underwater drone technology. The AJX-002 model, approximately 18 to 20 meters long with pump jet propulsion and modular transport features, has been observed uncovered during parade rehearsals. A second larger design concealed under a tarpaulin just how about just a tarp? Features dual stern mass and X-form rudders, suggesting significant design divergence. So, yeah, China's using some drone technology to fuck with us again, and so that's not good news. Thank you, Gunfox, for dropping that in the tip jar. And the Hamilton, you are the Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day thus far. We'll see what happens. Okay. All right. Let's get into the normal show since the successful hijacking. We did National Aviation Day. Also, and here's the little Twitter blurb about this, or X, the app formerly known as Twitter. Hey, Donkey Punch Bandit, the greatest name in the internet, has joined the chat. America honors Wright brothers on National Aviation Day, August 19, 2025. America nationwide celebrated National Aviation Day, honoring the Wright brothers' groundbreaking 1903 flight that revolutionized transportation. Events at museums, airports, and NASA facilities highlighted aviation's historical milestones, current innovations like sustainable technologies, and future challenges, while social media posts from figures like Buzz Aldrin amplified public enthusiasm for flight's enduring legacy. So there you go. That's fantastic. Happy National Aviation Day. All right. Hello, Louie. Louie is... Wait, that's not wrong. That's Willie's song. It's Louie. Is here in my chat. Yeah. All right, moving on. Other significant holidays today, or insignificant holidays if you choose. National Potato Day. If you like potatoes, today's your day. Or maybe that's just Brian Stelter's birthday. I don't know. National Soft Ice Cream Day. National Photography Day. Capture a perfect moment on National Photography Day. Get creative with your camera and show off your best shots to friends and family. What if your best shot is of your taint? I don't want to show that off. Anyway, also it's World Photo Day, to be coinciding with National Photography Day. International Orangutan Day. Their habitats are getting destroyed, and we need to celebrate the orangutans. World Humanitarian Day. International Bow Day. Well, wait a minute. International Boat. Now that's a little deceptive. They put a bow tie there. How do you know it's not like a bow of a fiddle, or a bow, like is it a bow and arrow? Or how do you know that's not bow, that you're not bowing to someone in an Asian country? So it's whatever that is, International Bow Day. This says, it is, but see, it doesn't even say tie, but this says get ready to make a fashion statement on International Bow Day. From hair accessories to clothing, embrace the bow trend and stand out from the crowd. Well, if everyone does it, you're not standing out from the crowd. You're part of the crowd. God, they're so stupid when they write these things. And then also Saviors of the Apple Feast Day. Never heard of that one. But let's see, it's August. Depending on where you live, the apple orchards are about to get really crowded. So enjoy yourself. With your Saviors of the Apple, whatever that means. All right. Let's move on. Celebrity birthday. Today's celebrity birthday. Well, I did not have sex with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. Yeah, President Clinton is now 79 years old, which is, a year younger than Trump? One of the greatest presidential stories in the history of America. From rags to riches to bitches under the desk. Anyway, yeah, happy birthday, Bill Clinton. You know what? I don't hate Bill Clinton. I just think he's a scumbag. Anyway, so happy birthday, Bill Clinton. There you go. That's our celebrity birthday. There were some better ones, but well, Actually, no, that's the best one. You can celebrate the birthday of an ex-president because he's an ex-president. Now, back to this Justice for Monkey thing, though. Monkey, I thought for sure you got kicked off Twitter again, and people were just like, oh, let's get it back. Or maybe you got kicked off of YouTube or something. But apparently Justice for Monkey is not related to that, but something. Well, this one says a goat. Apparently this is a goat. I don't know what that means. Okay, those are baby goats. Don't care about that. Where is it? Where's the Justice for Monkey one? Oh, let's see. Hello, XAI. The post by Scuba Storks featuring Monkey drawing the Grok logo has now surpassed 260,000 views and achieved over 5,500 likes. This remarkable milestone fulfills Grok's promise to update its profile picture for a day, a commitment made when the post reached 5,000. The overwhelming support to active... What? Monkey was trained by professional trainer Omar von Mueller, has captured the hearts of many. Apparently they're trying to get this dog to be the mascot for X or for Grok. I don't know. I have no idea what that means. And I have no idea why Justice for Monkey is trending, but a bunch of people are putting it on various things. Apparently that's the one, though. They want only people worried are people holding a lot of their port in short-term coins. My coin features one. What is the, people are just putting Justice for Monkey for no reason. And I got to be careful because you never know what you're going to see when you scroll on something called Justice for Monkey. But anyway, my point being is Ranting Monkey's okay. He hasn't been kicked off X. He hasn't been kicked off of YouTube or whatever else places you are, Monk. I don't know where else you are on social media. But I'm just glad that that was not the reason Justice for Monkey was trending. All right, moving on. National Championship is trending. I don't know why. Oh, yes, I do. I do know why. Sort of. I haven't read the story yet. But apparently, Auburn University somehow went from 2 national championships to 9 in one day. And I'm not sure why. So this is the thing that people are posting. More big news. Auburn will now officially claim 9 football championship titles. Our visible national championship recognitions now align with the well-established standard used by the NCAA's official record book and our peers across the nation. And they posted this article, which I haven't seen. But here it is. Auburn football now claims 9 national championships and 15 conference titles. Now, GDSOB, good morning. How you doing? So Auburn football finally will claim 9 deserving and legitimate college football national championships, Auburn Sports confirmed on Tuesday. When reached for comment, Athletic Director John Cohen offered this explanation of the school's decision. So here it is, because people are laughing or crying or whining or bitching or happy or elated about this, and many different emotions come to point. And I know this is not a sports show, but we're going to read this. Here's how they came up with this. Quote, for too long, Auburn has chosen a humble approach to our program's storied history, choosing to recognize only Associated Press national championships. Starting this fall, we have made the decision to honor the accomplishments of our deserving student athletes, coaches, and teams from Auburn's proud history. Our visible national championship recognitions now align with the well-established standards used by the NCAA's official record book and our peers across the nation. Now, I don't know if this is sarcasm or what. Let's find out. Previously, there have been 2 AP national titles recognized inside Jordan-Hare Stadium, 1957 and 2010. 3 more national titles quietly noted in the Football Media Guide, 1913, 1983, and 1993. 4 more national titles will now be recognized. Auburn's official national titles will be 1910, new, 1913, 1914, new, 1957, 1958, new, 1983, 1993, 2004, new, and 2010. Now, here's how they came up with this. Apparently, Maxwell ratings, Lauren Maxwell College Football Rankings for 1910, Billingsley MOV margin of victory in NCAA football record book for 1913, James Howell's power rating system 1914, 1957 AP and NCAA football record book, and so on and so forth. So they basically decided that they're going to look at all these other different reasons. Why does this even matter? I don't know, but it's funny to me that they went from 2 national championships to 9 overnight. For Auburn, this debate goes back to well over a decade. In 2014, then Auburn athletic director Jay Jacobs acknowledged the school was considering recognizing legitimate titles. He said at the time, it's not about taking anything from anybody else. It's not about saying you aren't the champion and we are. It's about appropriately recognizing those teams that were rewarded by a credible poll. They were a champion, so why wouldn't we flag or banner in our stadium like other schools are doing? So apparently, this is championship envy. And they decided to call anything even close to being a national, what somebody said, hey, they were the best team, making them national championship. So, and people find this funny, which I find it really weird. Live at Toomer's Corner, after adding the new national championships, people over here partying, waking up to the news that Auburn will now officially claim 9 national championships. Auburn's football claiming 4 additional national championships that the NCAA recognizes and will hang banners for them. So I don't know why this matters, but that's what they're doing. And it's trending big on X, the app formerly known as Twitter. So there you go. Moving on. Now this is kind of breaking news this is actually from yesterday afternoon. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro announces a woman traveling from New York to D.C. was arrested while plotting to assassinate. Hello, Cashapp. Hi, Kirsten. Assassinate President Trump. Quote. Oh, here's Jeanine Pirro making this announcement.
I just wanted to let you know here from the United States Attorney's Office in D.C. that an individual by the name of Nathalie Rose Jones is now in custody.
Now, wait. She said Nathalie. Does she spell her Natalie with a T in it? And is that how she pronounces it? I'm just curious. Anyway.
Charged with 2 federal crimes for knowingly and willfully threatening to take the life of the President of the United States. She did come from New York to Washington, D.C., and she has been threatening and calling for the removal of the president, and even worse, as she got to D.C., her threats were on Facebook and Instagram, and she continued to call the president a terrorist and was working to have him eliminated.
Now, real quick, the side details of what she called the president are kind of irrelevant. Only the fact that she was over and over saying in her videos that she wanted to end the president, and not his presidency, but end him. That's the important part. All the name calling, whatever, doesn't mean anything, but the actual claiming to do the act, yes, that's something that is a concern.
She is now in custody. She will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Make no mistake about that.
So I'm curious where she will be prosecuted. And, you know, if she's prosecuted in D.C. and all the haters acquit her, that's going to be weird. But anyway, let's see. This is the crackpot here. FAFO, Indiana woman federally charged after posting assassination threats against President Trump. Natalie. Now, see, she's got that H in her Natalie name. That's what it is. Hi, John Arnott. Natalie Rose Jones, 50, posted on August 6th. I literally told FBI in 5 states today that I am willing to sacrificially end, starting with the K, President of the United States by disemboweling him and cutting out his trachea with Liz Cheney. She admitted to the Secret Service and said she had a blade and even traveled to D.C. claiming she'd carry out her mission of ending him with a K. Yes, white liberal woman. Court filings now show that she repeatedly called Trump a terrorist and a Nazi, blaming him for COVID deaths and saying she wanted to avenge the lives of lost. Jones faces up to 10 years in prison on 2 federal counts. So, yeah, crazy lady in jail. There you go. Crazy white woman. Yes, tired crazy white woman. All right. Next. Now I just got a bunch of articles, all kinds of stuff, but I wanted to get into the Ukraine stuff that I didn't get into yesterday. First, some news about the actual war over there. Ukrainian drones have hit refineries, drive Russian gas prices to record high. The price of gasoline in Russia has surged to record highs after Ukrainian drone strikes took out at least 3 major refineries. As the war between the two countries rages on since the start of the year, the price of A192 gasoline is up 38%, and that of A195 grade gasoline is nearly 49% higher, according to the Moscow Times. Russia's lost about 11% or 30 million tons of its annual refining capacity as a result of the strikes. The lost capacity is taking a toll not just on Russia's economy, but also on its war effort, the Kyiv Independent reports. So, they're not, Ukraine's not taking it lying down. They're having their war over there. And, the Russians have had about 1 million casualties apparently, and now they've stopped counting. And the Ukrainians have a lot of casualties. So this can't go on. This can't go on that much longer, I don't think. But I still think that this little proxy that we've been doing has been done to weaken Russia, which it has. But apparently, maybe Putin doesn't know it. I don't know. Again, I'm happy that Europeans are taking a little more lead on this than we are, because Ukraine's not part of NATO. And we kind of responsible for the current government in Ukraine, thanks to, what's her name, Victoria Nuland and all that. So, but yeah, let them deal with it. Let the Europeans deal with it. And the Europeans have given them like over $1 billion some to buy weapons, which, obviously our weapons manufacturers make the best weapons. So who knows? Anyway, on the note from the meeting with Zelensky yesterday, though, the headline here, Trump wants trilateral meeting with Putin, Zelensky to end the war. President Trump has said he hopes today's bilateral meeting with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and a summit with major European leaders will pave the way for a trilateral meeting between Zelensky, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and himself to negotiate the end of the war between the two Eastern European countries. Zelensky and the leaders of the United Kingdom, France, Germany, NATO, and the European Union gathered for an unprecedented summit at the White House on Monday after President Trump held bilateral discussions with Putin last Friday in what could mark a significant breakthrough towards ending the Ukraine war. Let me ask you all in the chat something. And maybe I should, because I didn't get too deep into the Alaska meeting between Putin and Trump. I didn't pay attention closely to this. I'm just reading the story for the first time. First of all, do you think that the Putin-Trump meeting in Alaska, do you think that when Putin was like saying things like, oh yeah, there wouldn't be a war, there wouldn't have been a war if Trump had been in office, do you think that's just some deal he and Trump made in their little private discussion to fluff Trump? Do you think that Putin is manipulating Trump on this? Or do you think that Trump has kind of heard what the American people who support him have been saying about this war that flies is driving me nuts? That's some of that was genuine. Do you think that, I don't think that Trump is deferring to Putin on this. I think just Trump has a different view of it than many people in our government or in our political sphere. Okay. And I think he just thinks he wants to make a deal to get this war over because that's what he said he'd do. And the other part is, do you think that Ukraine is going to give up any territory on this? And is that it seems to be the sticking point, right? And why, when the Russians took over Crimea during the Obama administration, I didn't hear people howling about this as much, but clearly they're howling about it now. So let's see. Let me look here. Send the penis piano player back to where he came from. What? That means Zelensky. Hello, GDSOB. Good morning. How are you, sir? Let's see. Just save the Ukrainian supermodels. The rest, who cares? Yeah, there's some fine individuals from that part of the world, Eastern European women, especially the model types. Let's see, don't really care about either side, to be honest. Okay, not in the slightest. Both. If he's not trying to manipulate Trump, he's not doing his job for his people's country. That's true. Attempt at manipulation. Everything all sides saying negotiation is manipulation. Just like Hamas and Israel. Literally couldn't care less about either side. I think they'll agree to make Donbass region autonomous. That, which probably that part, I think that should have been. That's the big problem, because so many people in that Donbass region are Russian-speaking people in the Ukraine. They've been fighting there for years, and look, to say that this war started when Russia, invaded, completely dismisses what's been going on in that region since, the mid 2010s. That they've been fighting that region forever, and the literal swastika guys who are in that region and fighting with the Russian guys in that region, kind of a continuation of World War II in some ways. I don't know. Anyway, now the last time Zelensky met with Trump in the White House, the meeting erupted into a diplomatic row, catfight, whatever, with the Ukrainian leader aggressively arguing with Vice President J.D. Vance on live television. Zelensky appeared far calmer and conciliatory this time. Since their initial rocky start, Trump and Zelensky have held several meetings, including one at the Vatican. Last Friday, President Trump met with Putin at an American military base in Alaska. The leaders discussed potential trilateral meeting and possible Russian concessions for the conflict. So that's interesting, right? Now, again, and speaking of that, the big headline in Breitbart, the obviously very right-wing news outlet, but also does very good straight reporting, as opposed to gay reporting. Trump calls Putin during the talks with the Europeans, makes a plan for Zelensky-Putin peace meeting, predicts deal within weeks. Oh, well, let's see if that happens. U.S. President Donald Trump confirmed reports that he called Russian President Putin during a meeting with the European leaders and said that he'd sit down between Putin and Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to end the war. That meeting's being arranged during a day of full crunch peace talks with leaders with the United Kingdom, the European Union, NATO, and Ukraine. President Trump broke off to personally call Moscow, arrange a bilateral meeting between Putin and Zelensky, and ultimately set up a trilat, three-way meeting, in which he will act as mediator for a final peace agreement. Him just by himself? Hello, Reaction Puerto Rico. Good morning, sir. Now, before the breakthrough meeting on Monday afternoon, the Kremlin had been reticent over agreeing to any face-to-face talks with Zelensky, opting only to negotiate through the Trump White House. However, writing on Truth Social, everyone's favorite social media platform. I still have that Truth Social account, and I always forget to post on there when I post stuff. Anyway, writing on Truth Social, Mr. Trump said, quote, "At the conclusion of the meetings, I called President Putin and began arrangements for a meeting at a location to be determined between President Putin and President Zelensky. After that meeting takes place, we will have a trilat, which would be the two presidents plus myself." Wouldn't you start with a trilat? I don't know. And again, this is a very good early step for a war that has been going on for almost 4 years. Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff are coordinating with Russia and Ukraine. So, is this the beginning of the end? Who knows? Maybe. Breitbart London says ball is now in Zelensky's court, says Trump as European leaders arrive in Washington for the White House talks. Nevertheless, the movement towards a peace deal was hailed by European leaders. Finnish President Alexander Stubb, whose nation shares a border with Russia, remarked per the Times in London, quote, "In the past 2 weeks, we probably had more programs in ending this war than we have in the past 3.5 years. Or progress. When I say programs, I didn't read that right. So that's good, although some sticking points remain to be negotiated between Ukraine and Russia, namely on territory and NATO membership. No NATO membership. No. God. Why would the Russians agree to NATO membership? it appears that American commitment to provide some security guarantees has pushed the negotiations forward. So that sounds good. There's more in the article, but I'll let that go. How are we doing for time? We're doing okay. This is the main thing I wanted to talk about. And then again, other outlets are saying that with historic, this is the Daily Wire, with historic Zelensky visit, Donald Trump moves the world one step closer to peace. Well, here's hoping. Everyone have your fingers crossed. You can't spell NATO without no. Just say no to NATO. I hear you. All right, let's move on to some other stuff that has happened. Apparently, there was a cargo ship that exploded in Chesapeake Bay near Baltimore just after you can... Did they ever fix that bridge? Has the bridge been fixed yet? Anyone know? I guess maybe they'll say in this article. A cargo ship exploded in Chesapeake Bay near Baltimore Monday evening. At this time, numerous emergency crews are responding to a cargo ship fire in the Baltimore harbor on Chesapeake Bay. According to Maryland officials, the Baltimore City Fire Department reported that the ship caught fire in the Patapsco River near the site of the Key Bridge collapse. With initial reports, while they described it as an explosion, officials clarified that the incident involved an underdeck fire that set smoke billowing into the air. The fire has since been contained, and the vessel is being removed from the channel. The cause of the fire remains under investigation. So this is some footage of that that cargo ship on fire. That kind of looked like an explosion to me. I don't know. Ask Cannon Hotep about this. I should ask Cannon about that. Whether or not they got that bridge fixed yet. It'd probably take longer than that to fix a bridge like that, though, wouldn't it? I don't know how long it takes to build a bridge like that. Probably. Look, think about how long it takes road construction in your neck of the woods during the summer months, especially in Michigan, right, Monk? Okay, so there you go. There's that. Other news. Let's see what this is. The State Department has revoked 6,000 student visas over terrorist reports. Oh my. Between 200 and 300 people lost their visas. Wait, it says 6,000, but then between 200 and 300 people lost their visas for supporting terrorism. Wait, which is it, 6,000 or 200 and 300? So this is Fox News reported. The Fox News. Roughly 6,000 visas were primarily due to visa over. Oh, I see. 6,000 were pulled, but 200 to 300 for supporting terrorism. That's a bad headline. Let's read it again. Roughly 6,000 visas that were pulled. Fox News learned the State Department revoked over 6,000 student visas due to supporting terrorism, overstays, assault, burglary, etc. So that headline just incomplete. Incomplete. Roughly 6,000 visas that were pulled were primarily due to visa overstays or encounters with the law, including assault, DUIs, burglary, and support for terrorism. The State Department told Fox News Digital every single student visa revoked under the Trump administration has happened because the individual has either broken the law or expressed support for terrorism while in the United States, according to the State Department official that he said in a statement to Fox News Digital. About 4,000 visas alone have been revoked because these visitors broke the law while visiting our country, including record of assaults and DUIs. Those who had their student visas yanked due to assault, roughly 800 students either faced arrest or charges stemming from assault, according to the State Department official. Those whose visas were pulled due to support for terrorism, between 200 people and 300, engaged in behavior such as raising funds for a militant group Hamas, which the U.S. State Department has designated as a terrorist organization. So I am curious how many student visa revocations there are normally. I don't know. But obviously they're cracking down on people who've broken other laws that they should not be breaking while they're here on a student visa. Too bad, so sad. Moving on. Remember we talked about this guy, this tow truck driver that would follow around ICE caravans and tow ICE vehicles that were parked illegally during ICE raids. Well, apparently he's now being investigated. After weeks of speculation about whether Los Angeles area tow truck drivers are intentionally and illegally carting off federally owned ICE vehicles during raids, and after alleged fact checks ruled such claims were fiction, PJ Media can exclusively report that at least one of the reports is quite real. Indeed, the driver and whoever sent him are now under investigation by the Department of Homeland Security. Here's the way it looked when federal vehicles was parked, lights flashing in a private driveway area that extended into the public street and a mere few feet away while officers were distracted while making an arrest. It was in our story, ICE doxer busted while live streaming. Suddenly, a tow truck shows up. The arrest was of the woman we told you about, a TikTok influencer. And we call it TikTok Tatiana, who raison whatever you say that is, since she illegally broke into the country under Joe Biden's open border, is explaining to her nearly 40,000 viewers where ICE busts are happening and doxing the agents. The purpose is quite clear: to get a crowd to distract, intimidate agents, making legitimate arrests of people, usually criminal aliens, in the country illegally. So this is, hey ICE, this is the same towing company that just stole your vehicle while detaining illegal aliens, and TikTok influencer Tatiana Martinez, airport towing, blah, blah, blah. So let's see what this is.
Hey! Hey! Fuck you now! Fuck you! Hey! Fuck you!
So anyway, now this person's under investigation. I've seen several vehicles. Someone here says, now this is the reader adding context that got community noted. It said, tow trucks were not stealing or targeting ICE vehicles. This vehicle was parked illegally for over an hour and had its tires slashed, so it needed to be towed away. That's a clarification without necessarily a distinction, because okay, so instead of towing vehicles, someone was slashing the tires of ICE vehicles. So whatever, they need to be arrested. So anyway, so there you go. Someone's finally being prosecuted for that crap. Moving on, also in PJ Media. Oh, this is this. The busted ICE doxing TikTok influencer is a criminal illegal alien. Is this the same Tatiana? The curvy Colombia. Oh, wait a minute. Hold up. The curvy Colombian TikTok influencer who specializes in wearing skimpy clothes while doxing ICE agents and locations was arrested in Los Angeles, as PJ Media readers know. What we didn't know at the time, however, is that Tatiana Martinez isn't just in the U.S. illegally. She has been breaking the law since she entered the country during Joe Biden's border invasion. Oh, yeah. How do I do that shit? Anyway, apparently TikTok Tatiana was dragged from her Tesla, which was parked in her apartment's parking garage by federal agents on Friday. As she resisted arrest, her long brown wig flew from her head. What? On Monday, the DHS confirmed she was illegally in the U.S. and posted a message on X claiming that TikTok Tatiana Mafla Martinez is a criminal illegal alien from Colombia who was convicted for driving under the influence in Los Angeles. So, poor Tatiana, she's going to jail. Anyway, so here it is. Her last video before ICE took her into custody in downtown Los Angeles. She grew her TikTok to 30,000 and would often share videos telling protesters and rioters where ICE agents would be. They pulled her from the Tesla, and she's in that video. I don't think you can see. Is this it? Can we see this? Is this the actual arrest? Oh, no, this can't be. Is this the arrest? Oh, that's just her when they did that. They towed one of the trucks. Okay, never mind. Anyway, so sad that she's being arrested and, probably deported. By the way, did you all know, I've been kind of researching stuff about all this, the deportation, what's legal, what's due process, what's, when is it a crime to be in the country versus when it is just a a civil violation. So, for example, crossing the border illegally, that is a crime. That's under federal statutes. It's a misdemeanor the first time, and it's a felony the second time. But being in the country undocumented, for example, if you overstay a visa, that is a civil violation attuned to a traffic ticket or a jaywalking or whatever. But here's the thing. Did you also know that deportation is not considered a punishment under the law? Did you know that? Like they were always talking about how the due process, for example, people who are enter the country illegally, the due process for entering the country illegally is deportation. There's no due process, doesn't require a trial for that. Now, in some circumstances it does, if you've been here an exorbitant amount of time, but you have to be able to prove that you've been in the country more than 2 years for it not to be just a civil punishment. Now, or excuse me, punishment. It's not even a civil punishment. It's the civil remedy for being in the country illegal. Deportation is not considered a punishment. Due process would come into play if you entered the country illegally and they decided that you would be jailed. That would require due process. So if you go to a trial on entering the country illegally, that's when you can be criminally liable, and which would require up to 6 months in jail and a fine. And then you still get deported, because deported is the civil remedy for being in the country illegally. Not being deported back to your country is not a punishment, because they're sending you back to your country. So a lot of people get that confused. I should do a video on that. I did a video on the criminal part first, because a lot of people say, well, entering the country illegally is not a crime. No, it is a crime. It's under U.S. statute, and it's a crime. It's a misdemeanor, but a misdemeanor is a crime. And then a second offense is a crime that is a felony, and that's up to 2 years in prison, fines, and deportation, which is not part of the punishment. Deportation just means they send you back. Not a punishment. Anyway, so thought I'd clarify that a little bit. Let's move on. Let's see. Oh, apparently Israel and Hamas has reached a deal on a ceasefire and hostages. Pioneered by a Trump envoy. Hamas has consented to a ceasefire and hostage release agreement with Israel, according to a senior Hamas official. The deal closely follows a 60-day ceasefire plan originally put forward by President Donald Trump. His Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, according to an Egyptian official source, the current deal entails a 60-day ceasefire and the return of half the hostage. Why half? Okay, God. The reason they're still being bombed into oblivion is because they're not giving up the hostages. It's a war. And all the people talking about, all this carnage in Gaza, well, it's a war, and it sucks. War sucks, okay? But you start a war, and you get the war you start. And also, by the way, all the people screaming genocide. The largest number of people that they say have been killed in this war. They're at it used to be, they always used to say 30,000, and for like 6 months it was, they've killed 30,000 Palestinians, and that's genocide. And then now they're up to 100,000 though. They finally changed that number, and they're saying over 100,000 Palestinians have been killed, which is awful because it's war, and that's what happens in wars. Wars suck. They're terrible. You don't want wars, except it seems like Hamas does want the war because they don't want to surrender there's no way for them to save face. They don't want to give it the hostages. So they don't want the war to end because they can get propaganda points out of it. But I digress. But when they say it's a genocide, and then they say, over 100,000 Palestinians have been killed in this war. Aren't there 7 million Gazans, people who live in Gaza, the Palestinian side? 7 million? I'm still trying to understand the genocide aspect of that. 7 million, 100,000 out of 7 million. I mean, if they were really trying to genocide, they'd be a little more efficient, wouldn't they? But I'm glad they're not. And the fact that they evacuate areas before they bomb them, the fact that they're putting in hundreds of trucks of humanitarian aid to the people that they're fighting with, which a lot of it gets stolen anyway, or doesn't get distributed. Remember, we saw that article. There was 300 trucks that the Israelis had let through with humanitarian aid. It was just sitting on a big old tarmac. It wasn't being distributed by the UN. But anyway, it's kind of a weird kind of genocide to me that they're not trying to kill people or civilians, and that, you know, they bomb the places where they find Hamas leadership and Hamas headquarters and stuff underneath hospitals and schools and shit. Anyway, I digress. Apparently there's going to be a ceasefire agreement for 60 days and another half of the remaining hostages, which I don't know, man. Can we just get them all? Can we end that war and try to figure something out? Maybe the Palestinians who live in the Gaza area will say, fuck Hamas. They keep bringing this rain of fire down on us. Also in the news, thousands in England are protesting migrant hotels. Make our streets safe again. Protests against migrant hotels across England. Here, let me put this on the screen. Protests against migrant hotels continue across England as native Brits rage over the government putting local women and children at risk by placing unvetted young male asylum seekers in their midst. Multiple towns and cities in England saw locals pour out onto the streets again over the weekend in a continuation of the protest movement that was sparked in June in the town of Epping in Essex after a hotel migrant from Ethiopia, Hadush Gerberleze Kabatu, just trying to say that phonetically correctly, was accused of sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl just days after arriving in Britain illegally by boat across the English Channel. Hundreds gathered outside the Bell Hotel on Sunday, which was used to house the Ethiopian migrant. Now, which means to me, here's what's going to happen. All those people will be arrested for discrimination, while the guy who's possibly violated a child is probably going to be set free on no bond. Anyway, hundreds gathered outside the hotel on Sunday, which was used to house the Ethiopian migrant. Among others, the hotel faces a legal challenge at the High Court from local officials who argue that it should be shut down as a migrant accommodation because it has become a feeding ground for unrest. Essex police said that the protest was held peacefully and did not result in any arrests. Shocking, because if you say the wrong thing in England, they will arrest your ass. The protesters said Epping were joined by de facto Tory leader Robert Jenrick, who has been leading a punchy campaign. In recent months, they had a misspelling there, to portray the party as having come around to the public's way of thinking on border control. After a disastrous 14 years in power, on X, the Conservative MP wrote, "Great to be with the peaceful, patriotic protesters in Epping today. People are right to be fed up with illegal migration and the crime and billions being wasted because of it. Starmer should get out of Westminster, listen to the people's concerns, and act to keep us safe." So, yeah, people are not taking it sitting down. Finally, people are, maybe people in England are finally had enough. It's going to be tough, though. So most of their biggest cities are run by migrant sympathizers. MSNBC, we talked about their new name, which the Multiple Sclerosis Society was taking a little, take, what do you call that when you take exception to? Embarrassment for MSNBC as it's forced to drop its prestigious NBC from its name in favor of widely mocked My News Source Opinion World. MSNBC suddenly announced its name change on Monday morning, saying it would be called My Source News Opinion World, MS Now, following the impending spinoff of its parent company, Comcast. This change comes as an embarrassment to the left-wing network, though NBC Universal executives said the move was meant to ease brand confusion. CNBC will keep its name, suggesting NBC is aiming to create unique separation between itself and MSNBC. Long overdue. MSNBC will also be stripped of the iconic peacock logo, one of the most widely recognized logos in the world. MSNBC staffers learned of the change Monday. The Wall Street Journal reported the rebrand will officially take place later this year when MSNBC and other cable news networks under the NBC umbrella, including CNBC, USA, and E, spin off from their parent company, Comcast. So we talked about it a little yesterday, but I'm sure Yeah. Will this cause confusion among the viewers of MSNBC? Nah, as long as Rachel Maddow still shows up once a week, I don't think anybody will care about the name. But it's fun to mock them, just in general. In more Takia, Associated Press suggests Gaza evacuee died of starvation without mentioning she suffered from leukemia. This is following the New York Times with this starving kid who had actually some birth defects. An Associated Press report. You know, by the way, you remember that when they showed the kid, he was supposedly starving, then they had this article that they had to retract it because they realized this is a kid with birth defects. Did you notice in the picture, the kid who was, really skinny, that was supposedly starving, being held by, I don't know if it was a grandmother or his mother or whatever, who looked pretty healthy and not all that thin. And there was also another child standing right next to them who also didn't really look all that malnourished. Did they even pay attention to what pictures they use? Anyway, an Associated Press report suggests that a Gaza woman evacuated to Italy to receive medical treatment died of malnutrition after arriving. The report did not note that the woman suffered from severe pre-existing illness, leukemia. The August 16th report, which was published in ABC News, U.S. News and World Report, and the Los Angeles Times, said the woman, 20-year-old Mara Abu Zuri, arrived in a state of severe physical deterioration and died after entering a respiratory crisis and subsequently going into cardiac arrest. It then cited UN spokesman to contend that starvation and malnutrition in Gaza were at their highest levels since the Israeli-Hamas war began, and that nearly 12,000 children under 5 were found to have acute malnutrition in July. Shortly after that, on August 17th, Israel released a medical report from August 9th showing that Zuri suffered from leukemia, which can lead to cardiac arrest by lowering red blood cell levels, causing blood clots. So, another case of, well, are they telling you the whole truth? Well, no, they telling you the agenda. In Breitbart, Gavin Newsom, now I'm saying it. Gavin Newsom was trending this morning. Gavin Newsom flip-flops on oil and wants more production to avoid $8 a gallon gasoline prices. Yeah, California, gas is at like $6 something a gallon, which is weird because here where I live, I think I paid $2.74 a gallon a couple days ago. And that's up 3 cents. But for this is one of the first summers in a very long time. And you know how much I drive during the summer. We've constantly taken little short road trips on the weekends, right? This is the first summer that I can remember since the last time President Trump was president that I didn't pay more than $3 a gallon for gas in any month. I have not paid more than $3 a gallon of gas this entire summer. And that's surprising too, because the price of gas now is lower than it was this winter, when usually winter formulas are cheaper than the summer formula, right? They have the winter formula that you get, and but gas where I live has not gone above $3 a gallon the whole summer. And I'll tell you what, there was they have to have a special blend. Yes, there's a special blend in California. Well, that too, but still, it's $4 a gallon more than it is here. Almost $4 a gallon more. The main reason but anyway, so Gavin Newsom has done a flip-flop, wants more oil production with the states facing steep gas price hikes, and now trying to work with the fossil fuel industry to produce more fuel rather than stopping it. Well, also because there have been no new refineries built, and they refuse to build them in California. That would solve their problem. They could build one new refinery somewhere between Los Angeles and San Francisco, which might solve their problems. But they have their special blend. They have all kinds of taxes. California's nuts, and because it's terrible. So anyway, he wants more production to lower gas prices. Well, it does not fit with his state and party's climate agenda. So sad, so sad. All right, let's do a quick lightning round of just headlines. All these articles will be in the links today. Environment group sues the EPA over a written report written by skeptics of climate change. Aww. In late July, the Department of Energy and the EPA issued a report by the Climate Working Group, which for once didn't parrot the false claims that the world would end unless we all flew on jets to climate warming conferences to discuss how to raise American taxes. Okay, that's a funny way to start the article. But anyway, they're suing. They're suing over a report. What? Okay. And I haven't read the article, but they're suing the EPA over a report. What damages do you think they'll get in suing the EPA over a report? It's got to get thrown out. It's stupid. Breitbart. Trump's going to sign an executive order outlawing mail-in ballots, or he has signed an executive order, or going to. Yeah, I don't know how he does that. That's not something that he can just, this is some Obama phone and a pen shit. And again, I blame Obama, maybe George W. Bush, Obama, that this escalating executive order bullshit that presidents are doing. I said back when Obama was talking about a phone and a pen, and I said, hey, President Obama, you know what? The next president will also have a phone and a pen. And the president after that, and the president after that. And so far, that's true. Trump, Biden, and Trump all had a phone and a pen. And so you made it sound like the president has a lot more power than we should in our representative republic. And thank you very much. Now, somebody's got to dial this back. I'm just saying, somebody has got to dial this back eventually. And I don't know how that's going to happen because, part of the problem is Trump being a businessman and not necessarily as attuned to the functions of government, tends to run the country like a CEO would. And I get that we want that in some ways. But I don't know how this is probably going to be blown out by the courts. He has no jurisdiction even on this, on how individual states run their elections. And a little bit because it's federal elections, but still, I'm not feeling it. New York Post, a Rhode Island prosecutor threatens cops to shut off body cameras while being arrested for alleged trespassing, saying you're going to regret it. So here's this is a 5-minute report. They're not doing that. A Rhode Island prosecutor demanded Newport police officers shut off their body cameras as she was being thrown in the back of a cruiser for alleged trespassing, warning the cops that they were going to regret it, according to reports and authorities. Police arrived to find Special Assistant Attorney General Devin Flanagan and her friend Veronica Hannon outside a Clark Cookhouse restaurant on Thursday evening when responding to a call about an unwanted party. The Newport Police Department told NBC Flanagan was caught hurling a series of threats and trying to intimidate officers with their job title in the chaotic body cam footage released by the department. So they didn't turn off the body cams, which is probably a smart move on their part. You want evidence. Oh, she showed that one earlier? Yeah, I'm not going to show it because look, what's that famous Democrat line that we've been hearing for the past 8-9 years? What's that line they like to use all the time? And I'm going to get the reason I'm saying Democrat is I'm assuming this Rhode Island prosecutor is probably a Democrat. Here, let me do this. Hang on, where is it? No one is above the law. There you go. So anyway. Issues and Insights poll. Did Jeffrey Epstein commit suicide or was he murdered? Americans want answers. That's a poll. 41% call Epstein's death murder. Republicans more likely than Democrats. Americans demand transparency. Most say release all the Epstein files. Well, on that note, apparently there is the DOJ is starting to start giving Congress Epstein docs by week's end. House Oversight Chairman says Department of Justice will begin handing over documents regarding deceased sex offender Jeffrey Epstein to Congress by the end of the week. It's long. I would say long overdue. Let me see if I can get that article from the archive, by the way. Oops. Let's see if that happens. We'll see that one archives before we end up. Oh, by the way, speaking of Epstein too, Bill Barr says Trump never intervened in Epstein case. And he said there's no evidence of crime. Former Attorney General William Bill Barr said he never saw any evidence that President Donald Trump intervened or committed crimes related to Jeffrey Epstein's case. A source familiar told the Daily Caller, not my favorite source for news. During Monday's closed-door deposition before the House Oversight Committee, Barr testified Trump never offered any input or direction regarding Jeffrey Epstein's criminal case or his death. Barr cooperated fully in the deposition, responding to questions from both Republican and Democrat members and their staff, the source told the caller. You know, now some people are going to be saying, and I'm sure if you look through the comments of this or if this shows up on X or whatever, they're going to remind you that Bill Barr's father once hired Jeffrey Epstein to be a teacher at one of his schools. And not that necessarily Bill Barr would have any connection to Jeffrey Epstein, but that's the tangential evidence and circumstantial evidence that people are saying, well, Bill Barr is probably part of the conspiracy. So who knows? But all that Epstein stuff is way overdue, and I'm sick of them. Well, I don't know what. See, it's what can they disclose though? Are they investigating people? That's what I want to know. Are they investigating people that are in some of those videos and pictures and names and books and whatever? If they're reluctant to put this stuff out because they're investigating a bunch of those people, that would be fantastic. I'd be like, fuck yeah, who cares if they make it public now? Let's see some people in handcuffs. Let's see some perp walks. Let's see some people's faces looking through little bars. That's why I'm all for it. But until then, they can all fuck off. I'm either put it out or shut the fuck up and put some people, indict some people. That's what I'm saying. Legal insurrection. Texas Democrats. The Texas Democrats returned to Austin, right? So they're, because the redistricting war, whatever. But what's interesting now, Democrats were asked to sign something where they were gonna, when they left from the chambers that day, they would have a police escort and whatever. And one of those Democrats decided that she was not going to play along. And so now the Republicans in Texas are being accused of holding her hostage, which is now the big talking point. Oh, they're holding one of the people hostage. And it's a black woman, of course. So if it's a black woman, that is 171 times worse if it happened to anybody else. So, hello, Cannon Hotep. What's up, Cannon? So that's the new, trending talking point that all the left-wing TikTokers are putting out. Oh my gosh, they're holding a black woman hostage. She kind of chose to stay there. She's not going to sign it, and she refuses, and they're not going to let her leave until then. So they're saying that she's holding her hostage. Anyway, so the Texas Democrats returned, but they're back in session, and they're refusing to vote on that one redistricting thing. It's crazy. She is being held hostage. Okay, yeah, no, I'm okay if that's what they call it, and it's probably not the coolest thing, right? Well, at least not 172 times worse. It's acceptable then. All right. Also, I'm out of time. Well, there's a bunch of other articles. I didn't realize what time it was. So sorry, guys. This is going to be a little bit of an abrupt ending. I have a whole bunch of articles open still, and the aggregators in the chat or the thing and the links today. I highly encourage you to do some light reading today. There's all kinds of articles in the links, and especially the ones that we talked about. And so that's it. Unfortunately, my time is up. Let me drop the links as soon as I click that button and do that. There we go. Come on, baby. There we go. All right. So here are today's links from the show, plus more. Lots of stuff I missed. Oh, if I could type right. Let's try this again. Gosh damn it. There we go. There's the links for today's show. They'll be in the description too, but that's it. I got to go. Thanks for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. I'll be back tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. And until then, drink heavily. Have a great day. I'm Dawg Knight, and I am out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is Dawg Knight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here.